and thank you for joining us for Northwest Newsweek. I'm Riley McManus. The City of Dryden has passed its 2022 budget, and for the first time in a while, residents will see an increase in rates. As well, the city will be dipping into its reserves to pay for some expected costs which came out of the decision to disband its police service in favor of the OPP. As Adam Riley explains, those costs become a point of tense discussions for some members.
3.91%, that is how much more Dryden property owners will be paying in taxes this year following the passage of the city's 2022 budget. That increase will net the city $570,000, will help it counter a $1.1 million increase in operating costs without cutting services. It includes an estimated $1.7 million for uniform police disbandment costs, an estimated $372,000 for civilian police disbandment costs, a one-time $723,000 OPP startup cost, and a one-time $416,000 OPP facility upgrade for the Highway 17 detachment. Those costs will be covered through various reserve funds, which didn't sit well with Councillor Shane McKinnon, who is a vocal opponent of the decision to disband the DPS.
We're going to use legacy money, which is in fact renamed from the hydro proceeds that we had a number of years ago. We're going to exhaust our emergency reserve. We're going to leave out of the $400 and some thousand dollars in there, we're going to leave $18,000.
McKinnon dubbed the budget the police transition budget of 2022, noting historically when budgets are increased, they rarely decrease thereafter, and called the 3.9% increase the legacy of the transition. He also noted the decision for a water and sewer increase of 10% will leave the city in a rut of sorts.
We're essentially putting ourselves back into a position where we can't make any moves financially on our own because now we've incurred another debt.
Some tense interactions came following McKinnon's assertion in his closing comments that 80% of residents supported the continuation of the DPS over the OPP, which raised the ire of fellow councillor Dave McKay.
87% was the number that was gleaned out of the first costing study, and you can look that up if you'd like.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the outcome of the second costing. So you made up the number. Just to be clear.
No. I don't want to argue with you about that, but you can go back and look.
Don't put out numbers that you can't substantiate.
Yeah. It's water under the bridge.
The budget was passed with 5 councillors in favour and none opposed, as McKinnon abstained from the vote. Adam Riley, TBT News.
The roof of a bargain store in Sioux Lookout has collapsed, but fortunately, no one was hurt. It happened at 6 o'clock Thursday evening at the Red Apple store on Front Street, about 1 hour before the business was scheduled to close. Photos posted on social media show a large portion of the roof collapsed into the store. Sioux Lookout Fire Chief Robert Popowich says there were 4 employees and no customers inside the store at the time, and all staff managed to evacuate safely. Emergency officials closed off the street for safety reasons. Local residents recall a similar collapse which happened at the same building around 30 years ago. Popowich says despite the heavy snowfall this winter, flat-roofed buildings should still be able to withstand the weight of the snow. It'll be up to the store's insurance company to investigate the cause. A funding request to help the town of Schreiber with federally mandated upgrades to its sewer treatment plant have been denied by upper levels of government. That's left the community in a tough position, which could lead to a substantial increase in water and sewer rates. The plant is nearing 50 years in age, and in order for the $1.2 million upgrade to phase out chlorine and replace it with UV light to treat the waste, an extra $700,000 in electrical work is required. The latest funding request to the FedNor was turned down, which according to Schreiber CAO Nathan Diaz means they're back to square one. He says money from higher levels of government would allow the municipality to not have to pay for the project entirely themselves, which he estimates would require a 42% increase in sewer rates. That method would have a big impact both on residents and anyone currently operating or looking to operate a commercial property in Schreiber. To prevent that and get the work started, the town is breaking the project down into phases.
That way gives us the opportunity, if down the road that we see suitable funding, that we would be able to then pursue the rest of that scope of work, go at it phase by phase. That being said, there's some strategy in doing these things. Right now, there's a very low interest rate if we were to take the financing for the entire project, right, that may work out very well. But if we do that, then we lose the opportunity of pursuing grants down the line.
Phase 1 of the upgrade is expected to have a price tag of $170,000, which will require a small increase to the sewer rate. However, Diaz was unable to provide an estimate for the rate increase for that aspect of the project. The town of Marathon is whittling down to the list of candidates to replace one of its members of council, following the resignation of Chantal Zingras. Zingras was on council for just short of 8 years, but has taken a job with the municipality as a head librarian. Rules that govern municipalities do not allow employees of the municipality to serve on council. With the next municipal election just 7 months away, council has opted to take applications from members of the public, from which they will then choose the replacement. Acting Mayor Greg Vallant says they have a list of 5 names who will be interviewed this month, and he says they'll have a tough choice ahead of them.
From those 5 candidates, we got a really strong pool of individuals that kind of represent every sector within the community, employment sector, healthcare, education. So we're really, really excited, and we're really fortunate for the individuals who did step up, and we're looking forward to filling that seat.
Valance is hopeful the experience gained by the applicants will make them want to put their names forward again for the fall election. Tragedy has struck a remote First Nations community as COVID-19 takes its toll. The loss of 3 members in Casabonica Lake has been confirmed by leaders with the Anishinaabe Aski Nation. NAN posted to social media offering condolences to the community that currently has the highest number of positive cases throughout the NAN territory. Active cases in Casabonica reached as high as 120 on Monday, before dropping to 86 by Tuesday. Casabonica's COVID cases are overseen by the Sioux Lookout First Nations Health Authority. That agency is reporting 446 active cases across more than 20 communities. Meanwhile, the Northwestern Health Unit continues to see high positivity rates at over 26% as of Monday. Medical Officer of Health Dr. Kit Young Hoon is concerned that may rise with the loosening of provincial restrictions.
We will be monitoring all the statistics very closely with the lifting of restrictions today. I think this may have an impact, but it's hard to see. We are a geography of lower population density.
Medical officers of health in Ontario are no longer allowed to issue letters of instructions to organizations or businesses. There are more and more indications that Ontario's mask mandate will be dropped before the end of March. District Medical Officer of Health Dr. Janet DeMille says she's just hopeful that whenever that time comes, those with opposing viewpoints will be polite to one another and the vulnerable population will be considered. Corey Nordstrom has the details.
It appears the province's mask mandate will not be in place by the end of March. That would be the final domino to fall in Doug Ford's reopening plan, though no official date has been given. Dr. Janet DeMille says she wants that decision to be made with all of the data in mind and to not be rushed.
Really considering the people that remain vulnerable, people who are older in age, people who have underlying conditions, people who are immunocompromised or on treatments that may cause them to be immunocompromised, and make sure that any decisions that are made are inclusive of all that.
Premier Ford has stated that his government is not far away from dropping Ontario's masking mandate, hinting that it could come following March break. Now, DeMille did not want to speculate on those timelines, only saying that when the announcement is made, she hopes people are respectful of one another despite differing views.
It kind of has divided us in many ways because of differences of opinions that people have had, and what we do need to do is, as part of our recovery from the pandemic, is really try to recover from that as well.
Earlier in the week, the province did away with capacity limits and vaccine passports. DeMille would have preferred the province stuck with its initial March 14th date for those 2 elements of reopening, noting the impacts it could have on the level of COVID cases locally and those who are still unvaccinated.
And I do have a bit of concern for people who have chosen to remain unvaccinated, that if they are now out and about more, going to the cinema, going to a restaurant, that they have actually a higher risk of potentially getting COVID.
DeMille encourages anyone who is yet to get immunized to visit the CLE clinic. Corey Nordstrom, TVT News.
When we come back, municipal and healthcare leaders in Marathon react and look forward to a future that the new long-term care wing will do for seniors along the North Shore.